Welcome back to Manufacturing Talk Radio. We are here today in Minneapolis, Minnesota for Women in Manufacturing, the WIM Summit. And I have my guest here, Haley Stevens from DMDII, and I don't have a clue, but she's going to tell us all about it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here. DMDII stands for Digital Manufacturing and Design Innovation Institute. We're a federally funded research lab out of President Obama's National Network for Manufacturing Innovation, which is focused on revitalizing U.S. manufacturing by focusing on R&D, technology transition, and workforce development efforts, training and educating for future and current workers in manufacturing jobs. So we received about $70 million from the Department of Defense to create our institute. That $70 million was matched by cost share commitments from large industrial partners such as Lockheed Martin, General Electric, Rolls-Royce, Caterpillar, and John Deere, academic partners such as the University of Illinois, Northwestern University, University of Texas at Austin, Oregon State, and University of Louisville, as well as support from federal and state governments that are interested in seeing manufacturing grow or interested in the jobs arguments. When we talk about digital manufacturing, what we're talking about is the use of data analytics throughout the manufacturing process.
Right. It seems like it's a rather handsome amount of money that has been contributed. How long has DMDII been around?
We received our award in February of 2014. Our funding goes for 5 years, and the goal is that we will be sustainable after 5 years. So after our research and development projects produce new technologies, we might see some sustainability out of those activities. We might see sustainability out of our workforce development programs, our partnerships with universities and other providers.
So what do you see as some of the real issues and facts? Obviously, in order for you to do the things that you're doing, you first had to do an analysis to what the problems are. Clearly, we're hearing here and other places what a lot of problems are, but specifically, what does DMDII recognize as the issues that you're trying to deal with?
What we're looking at is large industrial problems. So we have a technical advisory committee that helps us and helps to inform our strategic roadmap for various research projects that we look to pursue to improve the factory floor, to improve operations, to improve process flow. It's funny, I think manufacturing is now at a moment in which, we have a lot of excitement. We've got, some new and revitalized attention focused on the industry. So we're not so much in the, in the scope of how do we make manufacturing cool. We know we're cool. We're trying to showcase to the, to the country and to our community, particularly in Chicago. That's where DMDII is based. Right. That we're a factory floor of the future. That this is inclusive and this is an economy for everyone.
Just as an aside, are you going to be at the FabTech event?
Yes. I would think. Absolutely. We're going to have a lot of support for that. Our colleagues are already blocking their schedules, and Society of Manufacturing Engineers is one of the founding partners of our institute. They helped with our application, and they were one of the first out of the gate to sign up to be a member of our institute.
Well, I would suggest, because we're going to be there also, we're going to be at booth N14000. They've given us a rather high-profile location, so there's going to be a lot of people seeing us, and I suggest you get in touch with us and let's see if we can get together at
Absolutely, yeah. I'm
N14000.
Okay, right. I'm writing that down, and we would love to be there.
That'd be great. Your program is not necessarily specifically geared for male or female. It's manufacturing in general. Is that correct?
That's right.
Do you have a segment that you are gearing towards women?
Well, I've got an interesting thing to share in that regard, which is our organization is about 40-ish people big right now. We've grown pretty quickly in the last year.
How many are you?
About 40 people. We've grown pretty quickly in the last year, and 56% of our employees are women. And so we've got a charge from the federal government. The federal government wants us to look at dislocated workers, what can we do for the veterans community, what can we do kindergarten through 12th graders to inspire them to go into manufacturing careers. And what we say about all of these stakeholder groups is that everything we are doing encompasses these stakeholders. It's inclusive, it's for everybody. And so when we look at women and we look at, kind of the foundation that we're laying as an organization and how we've structured and set ourselves up, we've got women in leadership positions, we know we're making a statement to the broader community.
Right, right. As part of your program, you mentioned all the stakeholders. One of the things that I'm seeing pretty regularly now is that a lot of the issues regarding students graduating school and making choices as to career paths and so on, that it's the parents who need to be a little bit more re-educated about manufacturing is not your grandfather's company. And what are you doing regarding that, bringing the parents into the fold?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we talk about this when we look at this inclusivity march, that this isn't the manufacturing of 40, 50 years ago. This isn't necessarily manual labor. We just saw the General Electric advertisement where they had the young man talking to his parents about his new job at GE, and he said, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to be coding, right? I'm going to be playing around with screens and numbers." And so when we look at the parent component, what we've determined is really critical is anytime we bring students into our facility, particularly at the high school or middle school level, we invite the parents to come with them.
Good.
We want them to see our factory floor. We're bringing in Project Lead the Way faculty into our shop floor for a day-long exchange. We know that that'll have influence when they look to bring their students into our facility as well.
Next week on October 2, the Manufacturing Day, Manufacturing Talk Radio is taking a busload of high school students from Passaic Institute of Technology in New Jersey, and we're taking them to an event and taking them to a manufacturing company for a tour. And these are all kids that are manufacturing already geared.
Yes.
And they are really excited, and we're excited. And one of the kids happens to be my godson, so I got him into this thing, and he's very excited to do this. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Public policy, it's an imperative. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk to that for a minute on a couple of different lenses, particularly because we are at the Women in Manufacturing Conference, and we're focused on this question of, how do we include more women in manufacturing? So the statistics are pretty real. You've got women that make up half the labor market, but they're only roughly about a quarter in manufacturing. Some of that, the research shows that it's perception issues, but broadly what we see is that, women start off, they're half the labor market, but they're also, I think the figure is about twice as likely to live in poverty. We have about 42 million women on the brink of living in poverty. What do we know about manufacturing? Yeah. It pays competitive wages. It's more likely to offer premier benefits for health care, for retirement. And so we've got an opportunity as an industry to open the floodgates to women. And part of this is on the perception that this is smart manufacturing. This is smart labor. It's not, pieces of equipment that you can't bear to lift. So when we look at some of the public policy issues, we've got an industry poised to bring in a large and vibrant part of our labor market to make real and lasting contributions.
We had, this is not the first time we've had a labor shortage, particularly in regards to women, and that was during the Second World War. The famous Rosie the Riveter, where the Secretary of War at the time, Henry Stinson, claimed that they needed 5 million new workers to fight the war machine. And more than half of them had to be women. And they did it. They went out. They helped save the country. And I'm drawing an analogy that I think we're in the same place.
Yeah. No, we recognize that. We lose when women aren't involved, and there's no one to point the finger at, but it's all about on-ramps. It's all about access to opportunity.
Right.
So your great question about what do we do when we involve students? How do we work with parents? Part of that is gearing towards these, segments of our population, be it if it's in a different neighborhood, particularly these disadvantaged neighborhoods. So what we look at, when we're talking about some of these, public policy realities and our just writ large for the industry and writ large with the National Network for Manufacturing Innovation, we know we have an opportunity.
Right. And I started to ask you before about the focusing on women inclusion. Do you have any particular project within DMDII that's focusing on the women?
Well, like I said, 56% of our workforce is
Right.
female, and every program that we're putting out. So we've, in addition to Manufacturing Day, which we're also thrilled to be a part of,
Right.
and welcome to Chicago Public Schools to be a part of our Manufacturing Day for tours in our facility. We also have digital days, which we'll be offering, 2 to 3 times a quarter. That's an exchange for students to come into our offices. This will be in partnership with Project Lead the Way, our partners at Science Olympiad and Society for Manufacturing Engineers, and the Young Women's Christian Organization will also be coming at the YWCA Association, not
Right.
organization. They're a partner of ours as well. And so, look, we look to reach out to YWCA because we wanted to put a fingerprint on women in manufacturing, on young girls in manufacturing. But all of the things that we're putting forward are inclusive. All the stakeholders are specifically built into that. And then because we have women leaders, and because our CEO Carolyn Collins is a woman, and she's out speaking very vibrantly in the community, that puts an imprint, that makes a lasting image onto people's minds
Sure.
about the new face of manufacturing.
Well, if the 56 women are as informed and as energetic as you are, you're going to do real well. I appreciate you sitting down with
Yeah,
us for a few
absolutely.
minutes and talk about it. And let's see each other at FabTech, and perhaps you can get El Presidente to sit with us. We'll have our people call your people and see if we could set something up.
Sounds like a plan. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.